Welcome to Simply Robotics, the podcast, a podcast exploring the animation industry one episode at a time. I'm your host, Monique. You can find me on all social media platforms at Simply Robotics, SIMPLYROBOTIX. When listening to the show, use the hashtag Simply Robotics Pod to join in the conversation. Welcome back. We are now on day 7 of Chrismahanukwanzakah. Full transparency, because that's what we're doing here. It took me 6 episodes to realize that though I was plugging my mic into the computer, I didn't change the input. So the first 6 episodes, or at least 4 or 5 out of the 6, have been recording from the laptop mic and not the microphone. And I could just kick myself, in all honesty. As I'm editing, I noticed that like about 3 episodes, I said, no, but like, something is just not right here. And I'm like, I really don't think that I'm recording. It's pulling the audio from the microphone because I'm hearing when I tap the laptop and I'm hearing some like vibration because whatever. I'm not going to get into all of that. But I just knew that something was off. And then once I set up to record today's episode, bam, there it is. My input is not set to the microphone, it's set to the laptop mic. So there it is. Second thing, because like I said, full transparency, is I went through. In yesterday's episode, I told y'all that I had planned this out. I had the links. I knew how I was going to watch everything. And I'm watching the things, and I was really torn about today because obviously, like, I did want to do Charlie Brown Christmas, but then I said I can't do all the good stuff my first year of Chrismahanukwanzakah. I just can't do that. So I decided to do a Muppets Christmas Carol, and I'm like, but the Muppets is not animated, and I don't really feel like dealing with that technical thing or having to recraft the script or the way I will talk about it a little bit because it's puppets and it's not even stop motion. So I said, fine, just to keep along with the Christmas Carol spirit, I would watch, I think it's called like Mickey's Christmas Carol. And it was about 30 minutes, and I watched it, and I was like, I can't do this. Excuse me. First off, I saw already 2 movies that I didn't really like. And though I've seen Mickey's Christmas Carol a bunch of times when I was younger, as I rewatched it to do this, I was like, this episode's just going to be like 10 minutes, and I don't want to give or even record something that I'm not interested in, like for the sake of doing this thing. So I decided to watch something else, which would be. So I decided to watch Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas. It came out in 1997, and this was the holiday sequel, if you will, for the original Beauty and the Beast movie. This film was directed by Andy Knight. In doing my research, I learned that he passed away in 2008, so RIP to him. The studios, it was made by Walt Disney TV Animation. So this is different from like Walt Disney Animation Studios because this group or this division of Walt Disney, they do a lot of the stuff that went straight to VHS, eventually straight to DVD, and right now for like Disney Channel and I'm sure for the streaming services, they produce animated television series, films, specials, and other projects. So again, like the holiday specials, TV shows, and straight to not theaters stuff. I do have in the episode notes a link to the trailer if you just want to see a little bit of gist of what this is about. Um, I'm not even gonna, watch it. Most times I'm like, no, definitely watch the trailer if you want to know what I'm talking about. This one, I'm like, eh. So let's get into the synopsis for this film is astonished to find the beast has a deep-seated hatred for Christmas season. Belle endeavors to change his mind on the matter, and that's from IMDb. However, Wikipedia has something that was like a little bit more in depth, so I figured I would read that. The film starts out with everybody getting prepared for Christmas. Lumiere and Cogsworth argue about who saved Christmas last year. Chip begs Mrs. Potts to be the narrator of the story and just say, like, to give a more like neutral perspective of what was happening. So after some hesitation, she agrees. Soon, everyone is gathered around Mrs. Potts as she tells the events of what happened after Beast saved Belle from the wolves. So if you remember the first picture, right? The first film, Belle like was running away, or maybe he let her go or something like that, and she's in the forest and like wolves are like attacking her. He saves her, brings her back, and then now they start to kind of realize that they're into each other. So this whole movie takes place between that moment and the whole Taylor's oldest time. But to continue with what Wiki said, the story is made into a full-length flashback when the prince is the beast and his servants are the enchanted objects. Belle is still a prisoner in Beast's castle. All the servants are trying to figure out a way to make them fall in love with each other, and with Christmas coming up, they look at this as a great opportunity to bring them together. Belle is excited about Christmas, but Beast is not happy seeing how it's the anniversary of his spell being cast upon the castle. I am not too sure if I've seen this before. I feel like it came out in 97, so there's a good chance that I did see this before junior high. Have I seen it since then? I do not think so. I do not think I have seen this movie since it became like the 2000s. You know, this was definitely left in the 90s. I don't have much of a first impression because I don't really remember. But what I do remember is this point in time when Disney was just releasing a lot of straight to VHS sequels to like all of the Renaissance films, the princess movies, everything like that. Seeing it now, I'm like, it was good for what it was at the time that it came out. I feel like this does hold up if you are showing your children the princess movies. Like, show this not to them not too far after they see the original, and they will still enjoy and still have a good time because they're going to be caught up in the whole princess world or what have you. Um, the child and the character. Oh yeah. So as far as also what I noticed about this, and maybe I'll get this into this a little bit later, was that this sequel is pretty much follows the same formula that Disney had with all their sequels, where it was, yeah, I'm gonna get into this later. It was kind of like lazy with how the story was going. If you think about The Little Mermaid, the second one was basically Ariel's daughter. Instead of living in the sea, no, Ariel lived in the sea. Her daughter was living on land and wanted to experience life in the sea. Whereas Ariel, you know, original story, she was in the sea and wanted to experience life on the land. So Beauty and the Beast kind of has a little bit of that same feel of like redundancy in the story. And again, if you just watch it kind of, I wouldn't even say immediately back to back, but within like a maximum of 24 to 48 hours, you would probably still like enjoy it because you're in the mood. So the characters: Beast, Belle, Lumiere the candle holder, Cogsworth the clock, Miss Pot or Mrs. Pot the teapot, and Chip the teacup, they all reprise their roles from the original movies. Nothing much has changed because again, this movie is being taken place in between the first movie. We do have two characters worth noting, and one is Forte. He was the composer in The Castle, and he serves as the main antagonist for this film. The object, he's basically like a giant organ. Like if you think about the castles or if you think about churches, how they have these giant organs in there in cathedrals, that's just what he is, and he's chained to the wall and he's super miserable about his life. There's also Fife, I believe. Fife is a flute, and he becomes Forte's like accomplice, and he's tricked by Forte to like do all his dirty work again because Forte is chained to a wall so he can't move around. Visual style is just a digital version, a more digitized, version of the original. It, you can just tell like they're using more computers. The lines are sharper, it's clearer, like all that kind of stuff. The visual style wasn't any. It didn't deviate from the original like at all. Animation style, same thing. It, you can tell it wasn't as fluid or as cared for as the original. You can tell too that this was supposed to be done with less money and probably with shorter amount of time to get it done. I think that's pretty obvious in the animation style. But what's also kind of strange is just that their use of 3D. In the original film, I feel like the 3D was mainly used in the Taylor's Oldest Time, the ballroom scene. That's like the most evident use of 3D, I feel like, which is like the whole columns and that whole staging. With this one, they have Forte, the organ, like his face, and like half of his organ, like the pipes, are 3D, and then there's some also random 3D stuff that's intertwined in the movie, and I thought that that was just really weird and kind of really unnecessary because it wasn't a seamless blend. Storytelling, as I was saying before, it was kind of lazy. It was formulaic with what Disney does with their sequels. I feel like Cinderella had a same sort of thing that I don't know if it's Cinderella 2 or 3, but it was just like three incidences that happened after she moved into the castle. And I even think Cinderella 3 or 2, whichever one I'm actually talking about, was a bit more interesting in this because it was like this is some things that happen, whereas having a story in the middle of a story was kind of strange. I feel like Lion King 1.5 would have been probably a little bit similar to this, but Lion King 1.5 was really about Timon and Pumbaa's journey in between like Lion King 1 and Lion King 2 story. This one, it was just fine, but it was still like, it still circled, or it really seemed redundant if you did watch the first one, I would imagine, very closely. A lot of the dialogue, that's what I'm thinking of. The dialogue was really redundant, and the emotional beats that they were trying to hit, it just seemed like we already did this in the first one. Um, let's see. I also felt that there were possibly some conflicting details or like timelines or incidences or something. Like something I felt like was a bit inconsistent with the storytelling if this is supposed to happen in the middle of the first movie, you know? And because I haven't seen the first movie since maybe last holiday season or even longer than that, I couldn't really put my finger on what the inconsistency could have been. Um Final thoughts. I think that for the late 90s sequels, like it's fine. This Pocahontas 2, Little Mermaid 2 and 3. I don't even know if I saw Little Mermaid 3 honestly. Cinderella 2 and 3. Who am I thinking of? Does Sleeping Beauty have sequels? Oh, Mulan 2, like all of this, all of them. Aladdin 2 and 3, I think I might have to just rewatch all of them. They might be the best sequels out of like all this sort of stuff, I think. Right? Let me know if you agree. But it doesn't, so anyways, it doesn't compare much to the original, but in terms of all the other Disney sequels, it's right on par. Like it's all the same type of batch. Like you just disposables, you watch them and you're entertained, but you're not as grounded to them as you were the first ones for sure. Um in terms of watching it again, I can totally see myself watching this again. Not really for the holiday season or for any particular reason, unless there's a child around and I'm like, "Hey, have you ever seen Beauty and the Beast? Did you know that this existed?" And I'd watch it with them, and I'm pretty sure that they would be engaged. I would rate this film 3 presents because it really wasn't bad. It was just that like it also wasn't what I wanted to watch. So maybe there's a little bias in there. I don't think this could get more than 3 presents though. If we gave 4 presents to Klaus and 4 presents to Nightmare Before Christmas, this cannot get 4 presents. It's not on those levels at all. But it also is not All I Want for Christmas Is You or Angela's Christmas. So let's be real about that as well. So I think 3 is the best thing to do for it. And that is the episode. Another short one. If you've seen the Enchanted Christmas, let me know your thoughts and maybe what you remember. If you haven't, will you watch it? It's on Disney Plus. So if you have a Disney Plus streaming membership or password or however you watch it, you can watch it through there and see. It's about an hour, which, oh, okay. So I thought that was really good because, again, All I Want for Christmas Is You was 90 minutes. And I said, wow, that was really unnecessary. This one, 60 minutes ish, was perfect. Absolutely perfect. It definitely could have been a little bit shorter, but that was a real sweet spot. No more, no less. They went through everything. Like we kept things moving. The songs did keep things moving, though, like I said, it did seem to echo a bunch of like stuff from the first movie. But that's that. Thank you for tuning in. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you. And, let's keep it moving. I can't believe we're on day 7. We are really doing this. We're doing this. Thank you for listening, and I am extremely excited to talk about tomorrow's episode. Like, I'm really, really looking forward to that. So, take care. Bye.